Hey guys, what the hell is happening? El Stevo here. Friday morning, a little bit chilly here in the UK. How you all doing out there? I'm pretty good, slept pretty well last night. Still got my coffee. This video, it's a little bit different. Obviously if you watch the channel you'll have seen that I reviewed the season premiere of The Flash on Wednesday after it premiered Tuesday night. Now in my review I was glowing about this episode of The Flash. I said that it was a return to form, that the season got potential to be great. I said that everything's looking good. Having had a couple of days to sit on this, stew it over, have a think, I was wrong. It was a good episode, but for me there is a massive problem with this episode of The Flash. Basically, we see at the start, Barry, he's changed the timeline, he's got Eobard Thawne locked up, everything's perfect, and this is mainly because he's got Eobard Thawne locked up. His parents are alive, this alternate timeline, everyone seems to be doing fine and happy with their lives, apart from Joe. Joe is the only one that's struggling. But even towards the end of the Flashpoint, we get Joe kind of redeems himself. My problem with this is Barry basically is happy, his parents are alive, he changes the timeline for one reason and one reason only, and that is to stay the Flash. He lets his parents die, he sacrifices people's happiness to keep his powers. That is a heel turn. That's not heroic to me. That isn't cool. That is Barry being bare selfish, and it's so out of character. It doesn't make any sense to this show and this character. For him to let his parents die purely so he can keep his powers it's villainy. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't get it. Obviously, people will say, yes, he's got Wally running around as the Flash. He's losing his memories, and if he doesn't change the timeline back, he's going to be stuck. No powers. This timeline will be set in concrete. But what would be so bad with that? His parents are alive. He's happy, he's met Iris, they're going to date. Joe's redeeming himself at the end. All it would take for Joe to get out of this rut is Barry being there for him. Barry persuading Iris to be there for him. People will say, but Wally, he got stabbed by Edward Clarice, the rival, and he wasn't healing his superpowers. That doesn't make any sense either. It doesn't make sense. It's not in keeping with the last two seasons of the show. The Barry Allen that we know is a heroic, loving guy who cares for the people around him. This Barry Allen went and changed the alternate timeline purely for himself and to keep his powers. That is selfish, it's wrong, and I don't agree with it, and I don't think the people that make the producers of this show have thought that episode through. I raved about this episode. I raved and said how good it was. But on second thoughts, you think about it, and when Barry reset the timeline, the only problems it seemed to cause were Joe being a drunken stumblebum. Obviously, they've got to change it back due to repercussions in other shows, but the way they've done it and the way Barry chose to do it, just to keep his powers, that's villainy. That isn't heroic. That's not the Barry Allen that we know. I'm sorry, but I just cannot get my head around this. The plot point that Wally had was a speedster but didn't have super healing powers doesn't make sense. And Barry going back in time, obviously it looks like Eobard Thawne's messed with the timeline anyway. But I'm sorry guys, but I think that it's a dark turn for Barry Allen. It's self-gratification. It's nothing to do with the people around him. Obviously it was self-gratification in the first place, but in this new timeline, let the new timeline set in stone. Don't let your mother die for the 4th or 5th time because you want to keep your powers. It's selfish. It's not heroic. Wally is the Flash now. You can be a part of his team. But no, you have to be the big bad Scarlet Speedster Barry Allen. I love this show, guys. But that for me, this is a real stumbling point at the start of this season. I can get over it, but I just want to put it out there that for me, this is a heel turn for Barry. I would still back him and his team of nerds, but this is a big heel turn. It just doesn't make sense in keeping with the last 2 seasons of the show. Maybe they need to dial in the time travelling stuff. Maybe Barry needs to stop messing with time. Because to me, I've said it 4 times, 5 times now, what he done on a personal level in this episode makes no sense. And for me, it makes him the villain of the show. Eobard Thawne is right. In this instance, Barry is the villain. Everyone apart from Joe was happy. He could have stayed in that timeline. Everything would have been hunky-dory. Obviously, it would have changed the other shows. But that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to give you these thoughts. Probably only 5 people have watched this. But as far as I'm concerned, Barry Allen, that was a heel turn, dude. And it's way out of character. I hope there's more ramifications for this. Maybe it leads Barry down a dark path and we get a season where he's a bad Flash and Wally has to take him out. If it's going to lead to something like that, then fuck yes, awesome. But if it's just for the sake of wedging in Flashpoint and ticking off a comic book box, I'm sorry, but it didn't work. I still thought it was an alright episode, but it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense. If you agree with me, cool. If you don't, leave a comment and tell me why. Subscribe. Share it with your friends. But as far as I'm concerned, Barry Allen, you are the villain. This is El Stevo. Peace.